Jake Skellern, thank you so much for staying up late to talk to me today. I've had to get up very early. Well, it's not that early, but it's early for me. But thank you. Jake, you are 23. You normally live in Australia, or you have been living in Australia, but you're in New Zealand to take a break, really, aren't you, at the moment? But tell us what you do, how you got there, and yeah, what you're doing in New Zealand.
Okay. I'm a musician. I write songs. I've been doing it for the last sort of 6-7 years. I've always grown up playing the guitar and instruments. A little bit of that was to do with my grandfather's influence. He was a musician, and I felt a little inspired by him. I moved to Melbourne, met some great musician friends, started to get proper work, and then just had to make the move back to New Zealand because of COVID mostly, which is a real shame, but also kind of a blessing as well, because during that time I was had to make the call of, like, do I just do nothing, or do I try and be as productive as I can with this time? So decided to make an album, and yeah, it's going all right so far.
So tell us a bit more about when COVID hit, what you were up to, and what prospects you had lined up.
Yeah, so I started playing guitar for a great singer and songwriter called Glenn Wee. We were lucky enough to go and play at the Singapore Formula One and sort of do some pretty big shows. For my own stuff, I just managed to get a booking agent, and was it's all starting to happen, like the wheels started turning. Yeah, then obviously that all just dried up completely when COVID.
And the album that you've made, did you make that while you were in Australia? Have you made that while you've been in New Zealand?
So yeah, but I recorded it all over here in New Zealand, which is a great studio.
And presumably that's cost you quite a bit of money to get that done?
It did. That's all the savings gone now.
Okay. And I've had to listen to your music, and I think it's really beautiful. You've got an incredible voice, and I just love the kind of the storytelling aspect of it, which really, I think that your granddad, if I'm allowed to say, your granddad was Peter Skellern, who is a very, very famous musician here in the UK. I'm sure he had big followings elsewhere, but obviously I know of him, and I saw him perform when I was at school. He came to perform at Claremont Fancourt School, where I went to school, and I remember just being completely mesmerized by the storytelling and the characters that he was able to portray through his music. It was really inspiring. So give us a bit of an idea about the timeline we're talking about.
In Melbourne, it's been on and off lockdown for about, I think, seven or so months. So when it started to, the news first broke, there was a sort of, I think we went quite a similar approach to the UK. It was sort of an incremental lockdown. Obviously, like, the bars and music venues were the first to be shut.
Did the schools close, Jake?
The schools stayed open for. It was quite a hot topic of debate, actually. They stayed open for even after everything else had been shut down. They were still encouraging people to go to school. And then that's how quite a lot of the clusters broke out. What they did was a state by state shut down. So I think all the borders are still closed in Australia. but yeah, obviously, like where I lived, Melbourne was the worst affected for a long time. So when Dan Andrews, our premier, decided that in order to get control of this, because we were going up, it was suddenly, as it happens, 20, 40, then hundreds a day. He did a full shutdown, and it's been like that for until like a couple of weeks ago, and it's even then it's still there's no cases anymore, but it's still a very like obviously the whole arts community is going to really struggle to rebuild from this. I had a friend who was he's a full-time busker. There's a really big busking scene in Melbourne specifically, and he was just allowed out for the first time in half a year. So about yesterday, I think.
So he's out on the streets busking for his life, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Give us a bit of an idea of the support for the arts in Australia. Here we have Arts Council, and we have a very big, strong arts community and unions for the musicians and for actors. What's it like in Australia in terms of the art scene, and has the government been supportive?
Yes and no, I guess is the best way I can answer it. Is I don't think I can't speak for every state just because it's so different. But in Victoria, um, towards the end there was an emphasis because it does rely on its, especially music scene as a huge sort of cultural identity almost. There's been a really good attempt from the government to invest in certain music venues that wouldn't have been able to financially stay afloat for this time.
So, in terms of being able to claim any kind of emergency support throughout the epidemic, throughout the time, 7 months or whatever it's been, have you received anything?
No, I mean it's been tricky because I am not an Australian citizen, so that's where like it gets a bit murky. So
You're a citizen of New Zealand.
yes, so I'm allowed to live in Australia, but that's it.
So,
So yeah,
did you get anything from the New Zealand government?
no, because I wasn't living in New Zealand at the time, So in some senses, that's why I felt I had to come home, because at least I know I would be, if need be, supported here. At 23, to be suddenly fully dependent on your family again was a big shock, and I needed them. Yeah, I had to fall back on that.
Do you think because our government has, in not in exact words, but they've basically said that that a job in the arts or a career in the arts isn't really a valid profession in
It's non-essential. Or
yeah, has there been that sort of feeling?
yeah, of course. I think people are so indirectly engaged with the arts, without even knowing it, and it's for whatever reason, it's always the first thing to be considered as we don't need that. We can get, and to some extent, I understand, but at the same time, it's like people, tend to not know what they're missing until it's too late.
Do you feel like there's an inconsistency in the way that people in the music community get paid?
Even before COVID, for some reason, people seem to think that if you're an artist or an emerging artist, they can, instead of actually paying you, they say, oh, you can do it for exposure, and this will help you. It's like it's this weird thing. It doesn't happen in any other kind of. So you don't get like a mechanic. You go like, oh, it'll really help your business if you fix my Ferrari, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting. A lot of the people I've spoken to we've talked about that, you know, the difficulty of getting the balance right in terms of saying, do you know what, no, I'm not going to work for that, but at the same time you're desperate to work.
There are more artists and musicians than ever before. So yeah, when something's that competitive, there's always going to be someone that's willing to do it for less, you know.
I think you're absolutely right. That's the problem, isn't it? Is that if we knew that there wasn't someone behind our back who'd go, yeah, I'll do it for 20p, you know,
Yeah.
we'd be in a much better position, wouldn't we? That's the problem.
Sure.
Is from what age did you know that you wanted to be a musician?
Oh, I think I was got really into my air guitar when I was about 7, you know, and I think yeah, I've since I was started playing my instrument, I knew that this is what I want to do. The songwriting bit came later. In some ways, being the eldest child, I feel a little bit guilty that I've like taken all the music spotlight from you know, like picking up the guitar so early. It's always been like, oh, Jake's the musician, you know. And my brother and sister are both actually quite talented musicians. They've got the ears for it. They just I feel like there's not been that space for them to kind of to fill. It's me being too selfish maybe, but yeah.
Jake, that's terrible. Don't think that.
Not deliberately, you know.
I think it's important if you're given a talent that you absolutely give it its all and go for it. So I don't think you should feel guilty about that.
Well, yeah, yes, of course, you're right.
Another thing that the government, that we're all kind of like laughing at, but slightly kind of shocked and horrified at the same time, is that the government is sort of saying, it, as artists, if you want to retrain, it's a good time to retrain now. If you want to, we'll help you find a you know, a different career.
A proper job. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. How do you feel about that, Jake?
I think yeah, it touches back on that point of people don't know what they've got till it's gone. As a society, I believe that we need the arts. You know, that's what makes us like human. You know, without arts, we're nothing.
Over the last 7 months or whatever it is, have you had the thought that maybe you need to give up, you need to retrain and get a proper job?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crept in there a few times. But ultimately, it's I do come back to that. I believe in what I'm doing, and it drives me, and it is a proper job. You know, that's the thing you have to keep reminding yourself. I guess.
Good. And so, have you had to do other ridiculous jobs while you've been a jobbing musician?
Yeah, I'm currently working in a bar part time at the moment to tide things over.
And if you were to retrain and do something else, what do you think you'd do, Jake?
You think, oh gosh, uh, couldn't tell you. So definitely not in an office. I'd go work on a farm or something, on an orchard. Yeah, that's what I do. Pick
Nice.
apples or something. Yeah.
If you knew 9 months ago what you know now, would you have done anything differently?
Yes, I think I would have moved back to New Zealand earlier, and I would have yeah thrown my music out there more. I guess I think that's when you feel like you've got all the time in the world. You know, it's like it's unlikely, but something like this can happen, and suddenly it's a year of your life.
Have you been writing since you've been sort of in lockdown, or you know?
Yeah. It's yeah. I think there was a definite phase initially where it's you're just like you said before. What's the point? Can't really find any motivation to do anything, let alone be creative and try and write something. But then you sort of start to sort of dig yourself out of that, and yeah, I've actually managed to start writing again and enjoying writing again. Especially with music as well, as when you're songwriting, you get your inspiration from things you're doing and people you're meeting, and like there's only so much your bedroom can inspire you.
So you got to a certain point with your career and things were going really well. Do you feel now that you've gone backwards, or do you feel like you're starting from that same point when everything opens up again?
It feels a little bit like one step forward, two steps back. When it does open up again, you have to throw yourself into it. The whole industry surrounding music is essentially non-existent. So it'll take a lot of time before things are even remotely normal. It's just how much I can personally do within those constraints and boundaries.
Will you still have your tour booker, or have you lost that kind of contact now?
That's all gone. It's all gone.
Oh my God.
It's all right. It's happening to everyone.
Do you think a lot of artists, musicians in Australia and New Zealand will have changed careers or given up and done something else by the end of this?
A lot of people, a lot of artists, musicians are on the sort of on the fence of whether they believe they can do it anyway. And then so I feel that this will be sort of the final nail in the coffin for a lot of people.
What's made you the saddest about this situation?
It was such a big deal. I have struggled with confidence musically in the past, and it was such a big deal for me to. I stopped playing music for quite a while, and then I got back on the horse, started playing again, started getting shows, and that belief starts to creep back. And then when that all disappeared overnight, it was definitely kind of you feel like your heart's getting ripped out of it. You just you lose a lot of faith.
When you play your music, Jake, how does it make you feel?
I think I tend to write about like not the most joyous of subjects. It's like classic heartbreak stuff. So it brings back certain amounts of pain every time I sing the songs. But at the same time, it's definitely some kind of therapeutic release. I am definitely at my most comfortable when I'm singing and playing the guitar.
And how do you feel about playing in front of people? Do you get nervous?
I think I definitely get nervous. I cannot tell you how much I miss it. It's I'm chomping at the bit to be able to get out there and do it again.
What's your plan?
Oh, in some ways the plan is to have no plan. I want to get on the streets and do a bit of try busking.
Do you feel that busking for you is a little bit beneath you, or does that not bother you at all?
Growing up a lot, like I definitely had that viewpoint. But then last year I was lucky enough to go on a sort of like a busking tour kind of thing with a group of friends who are all very serious buskers. It just totally changed my whole perspective of it. People tend to respond really well. And it's a lot of fun. It's sort of like you're getting that instant feedback all the time. What's working, what's not working. And it's scary as well. Like it's a good way to challenge yourself for sure.
Tell us a bit about what your music is like, Jake, and tell us where we can hear it.
It's acoustic folk, woe is me kind of music.
So we go to Spotify or something like that.
Apple Music, iHeartRadio.
I hadn't thought about this at all, and it's really fine if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Have you got a guitar handy?
Yeah, I'll play a song. That's good.
Go on, that'd be amazing. Do you need to tune up or warm up? Do you need to do some vocal?
I'll be good. We'll just jump into it and hope for the best.
Okay, what's the song called?
I'll play a song. It's the first track on the EP. It's called "Simple to Say." Yeah, I'll give it a go. Something this simple should be easy to say, but now, hey, little darling, there's no need to feel so blue. We're both here, little darling. Won't you hold me like you used to? If you'll just hold on for now, then you'll find there was no reason to push me away. Oh, thank you for letting me play that. Gosh, I haven't played that since the recording.
It's really important for people to listen to your music, isn't it? Why? How does it help if people are listening?
There's just so much music out there. It's so easy just to just slip under the radar. It's just a thing that people can go, oh yeah, I get that, and that might find some solace in it or not.
It's about connecting, isn't it, in some way? And it goes back to the same thing. It's art in whatever form is about telling stories, isn't it?
It is. It's how we know we're not on our own. So yeah.
Thank you, Jake.
My pleasure.
Something this simple should be easy to say. Just give me my chance and I will be on my way. But I keep tensing up with every step that I take. So I'll just have to wait. I've got no more to lose, no time on my side. I don't want to know who, just why you lied. But I can't read the signs and I don't know who to blame. So I'll just have to wait. But now, hey, little darling, there's no need to feel so blue. We're both here, little darling. Won't you hold me like you used to? If you just hold on for now, then you'll find there was no reason to push me away. The harder I try, the harder it gets. Oh, why do I have to make things so complex? And I don't wanna sound easy, I don't wanna sound weak, but I need you. I don't feel as broken as I did back then. Just promise me never again. Said I don't feel as broken, oh, as I did back then. Just promise me never again. Now hey, hey little darling, there's no need to feel so blue. We're both here, little darling. Won't you hold me like you used to? If you just hold on for now, then you'll find there was no reason. Yeah, you'll find there was no reason. Oh, you'll find there was no reason to push me away. So I'll just have to wait.